WGPR Detroit HD2.
You're watching WHPS, Highland Park, Detroit. The views and opinions expressed on the following show are not necessarily the views and opinions of WHPS, its affiliates, management, or sponsors.
And good morning and welcome to Operation Refuge. Is going to talk a little bit about an important day that's going to be coming up this coming Wednesday. And they're also going to be talking about some events that they have that are coming up in the very near future. And I will be your host today. My name is Darwin Griffin, and we will be joined shortly by Pastor Velma Jean Overman, who is the director of Operation Refuge. And, you know, she's got some very, very valuable information to talk to the public about National AIDS Day. And this is worldwide. So what this is going to do is allow people, they're going to have an event this coming Wednesday to give people a chance to go and get tested for AIDS, as well as those that still may need to get tested about the COVID-19, as well as the variants that people are talking about. As Pastor will talk about as well, we know that there's a possibility of a variant that might be here in the United States, which is the Omicron variant. And it's originating, as from what the scientists are saying, from South Africa. So the thing that they want to do is to make certain that those that have not been tested, those that have not gotten the vaccination, can get the vaccination. And they're offering those vaccinations and the testing at a variety of different sites. So that's another thing that Pastor Overman will talk about as well. If you can't get to the site on Wednesday to get tested, there are other places that she will also tell you about where you can get tested, because this is important for everybody. As long as you make certain that you stay healthy, you can also make certain that your other loved ones and people that come around you are healthy as well. So without further ado, I'd like to bring on the executive director of Operation Refuge, and her name is Pastor Velma Jean Overman. Pastor Overman, welcome to the show today.
Good morning, Darwin. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Now, you've got a couple of events that's coming up, but let's talk a little bit about what's going on in reference to the National or the World AIDS Day. Can you talk a little bit about what you're going to do and what your objectives are, for that on Wednesday?
Yeah, first I'd like to just thank you guys and the team there at WHPR, because as a result of our last conversation where one of our board of directors came down, we had our largest turnout last Wednesday. Our initiative was to make sure that you were safe when you went to grandma's, and to visit grandparents on Thanksgiving. So we are so proud. It was our largest date today, and we were thankful. We've had vaccinations available as well as testing for the last few months. And according to the nurses and the staff there, we had more people that came last Wednesday that have came than the entire time. So hopefully us sharing information doing this medium is really reaching and helping us do the work that we're trying to do. We're partnering on Wednesday with Black Organizing Program with the Western Wayne County NAACP, as well as the Matrix Human Services, to really bring awareness and conversation around World AIDS and to end these inequities and end AIDS. And we want your listening audience, as well as those that we're sharing live on Facebook, to really join us in the fight against the COVID pandemic and the HIV epidemic. So we will be providing COVID testing. We'll have COVID-19 vaccines Wednesday, as well as some HIV home testing kits for those that come. And of course, this is at Christ Temple City of Refuge in the city of Inkster, 27717 Carlisle and 27741 Carlisle. Come by, see us. The pantry will be open that Wednesday also. So we really want to touch our listening audiences, because these things are detrimental to our community. And now, a true fledged senior citizen, I find it just kind of mind-boggling that we are listed among the high numbers when you think about things like HIV and AIDS. So I really want us to be a part of the answer and to share this information through Operation Refuge.
Now, Pastor Overman, can you talk about now, you said that this is going to be conducted on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, correct?
That's correct.
And then the ages that people can come in to get tested are from what age to where?
You can come and be tested at any age. We did not have the vaccine for the 5-year-olds, and we're trying to work to get that, but we can vaccinate for COVID from the young adults up, just not the children under 5. And for HIV testing, you get a test kit and information, and you're able to take it home.
So there's no age limit in terms of, say, like, so if it's a young adult, maybe like in their teens, they can still get tested using this
Yes.
test kit. Okay.
Yes.
And what does that, describe what the test would entail for both the test kit for the AIDS as well as the testing for the persons that are tested for COVID-19?
Well, for COVID-19, what has happened in the past is they do the quick test that you can have your results back in 15 minutes, and you can also get the CPR test that does a more invasive testing site in the nasal passage, and that information comes back within 24 to 48 hours. And that information is very significant. I want to make sure I share that. The reason I'm actually on Zoom and not in person is because I had a negative test results through the quick test, but when I got that results in 24 hours, it showed that I was positive for COVID. And fortunately that I am vaccinated, and I was asymptomatic, and I'm very thankful for that. I didn't get sick, but I was able to protect myself and my family with this knowledge. So to come in and to be aware of what's happening and to take that ownership for your own body is the one thing that I think we cannot impress enough on our community, because our numbers are the highest. So when I speak to families in Highland Park or out Wayne County or Inkster or Rouge or Ecorse, I'm speaking specifically to myself in the mirror, right? We're the ones that have to be careful. We have to come in and not be afraid results from a HIV test. Take it home, test, make the calls, do what you need to do that self-care. So the one test is very simple, a nasal swipe, and the next test is a little more invasive, but you'll get that information email. And for the HIV testing, the self-kit with the instructions in the kit, as well as how to reach back out to the Matrix Human Services and set up with some of the programming that they have to help walk you through the entire process of your self-care with HIV.
So can you talk a little bit, first of all, let me say this, that we definitely hope that you get well soon. So we're definitely praying for you, that you will stay safe, stay healthy, and you will get through this very, very soon, because, we've seen so many people that have contracted the virus, and, sadly enough, we've lost, some people, but we're hoping and praying that you get well and you stay safe. And we know that you've got so many things that you're going to be doing in the future that we know can't keep a good woman down. So we know that virus is not going to keep you down. But now, talk about a little bit pertaining to when you talk about the symptoms that a person has, because we know how important this is to get tested for the COVID-19. What are some of the symptoms that you're experiencing or that you experienced when you contracted it?
Well, the one thing that I found interesting was that I was truly asymptomatic, but I'm really, because I'm so busy, I test weekly at church. So every Wednesday between 11 and 3, you're invited to your safe at Christ Temple on Carlisle and Inkster. I'm always tested. I went out of a seminar week before last, so I missed my test at my church. But when I came back, I went because I kind of felt just not myself. I wasn't sick. I didn't have anything happening, but I kind of felt like my autoimmune wasn't doing what it normally does. And I don't know if everyone's even aware of things, but I am, because I also which is an autoimmune disease in your body. So I kind of try to be in tune with things like that. So I went and got the test, and the instant test was positive. So I isolated immediately. And I started looking for symptoms, like, did I have sniffles? Did I have like a runny nose? Did I have a temp? And I was asymptomatic all the way. And I'm believing, because as a pastor and just out in the community, I know so many people that were severely ill as a result of contacting COVID-19. They were either on the ventilator, they were sent home very sick to stay away from everyone. So to have no symptoms, I thought I had to attribute it to the vaccination. I had both Moderna shots, and I'm waiting to get my booster as soon as I'm well. So for me, I really had no symptoms other than the fact that I own responsibility for any changes in my body, which just sent me for a test. And if I could say anything to our women that's in my particular age group, that we have to make a conscious effort to be our own health advocate, that we have to make sure that if we feel just a little different, it's okay to take the time and go see about yourself. It's okay to own that bill. If it's $40 to see, or if Medicare covers it, then you can go and get the testing at no cost. It's no cost at the church. It takes your time and you won't spread it. I have a 4-year-old granddaughter that I love so much that in my life every day, and she's not vaccinated. So the last thing I want to do is bring anything that would affect her or my mother, who is doing very well at 80. So I try to make sure, and I'm reiterating that for everyone that's listening, that we can own this in our community. We can make sure that we don't spread this at the grocery store or at the corner store, or when we go over to our friends' houses, or at the church, or at the school, or any places on our jobs. We can own this. We don't need it to be mandated. We can take care of ourselves. Make sure you're tested, wash those hands, wear a mask in public. If they're going to bring a new variant every 2 weeks, then let's act like they're going to get every 2 weeks. Keep your mask, take care of yourself, get tested as often as you can. We will be doing this for the entire year until this pandemic is behind us at Christ Temple. So you know there's a place where you can be covered, and we have masks, we have sanitizer. We have a lot of resources and access to resources so that no one need worry about being sick with COVID-19. Now, HIV and the World AIDS Day, that is a huge population that we've stopped talking about, really, because we're high in the numbers, right? For some odd reason, poverty and sickness, and we know the social determinants, are always running together, right? You find high blood pressure, you find poverty. Well, why do you find poverty? Because you don't find a park in a place safely. You don't have access to fresh, right? So we kind of understand what happens. Knowing where you are, you have to work in. So a part of being social responsible with this AIDS and HIV is to simply cover up, take care of yourself, look out for your own body and those that you love. If you're in a relationship with someone, you owe it to yourself and to them to bring your best self to the relationship. So we're just trying to help I think one of the things that nonprofits do is they receive a lot of funding to do a lot of work. But at the end of the day, the real impact is when you're emerged into your community and you guys are healthy, that you can see your neighbor and you know you've made a difference, not just in giving them good food, but also in giving them resources and information, whether it's save your home by doing this through Wayne County Treasurer, come to the church and get a test and don't let your whole family. So that's kind of what I try to do at Operation Refuge, is I try to make sure and be intentional on how we use our resources to bring things back to Inkster and our surrounding communities. Now, and I know that was a whole bunch of other stuff in there too, sorry.
Now, when you talk about the kit, describe in terms of, say, what's all included in the kit.
In the HIV testing kit,
correct,
it's everything that you'll need in the home testing kit to send back to your individual. And I'm thinking that Matrix Human Services, they're providing the kits for us, that everything you need, they'll have their information in there. We're just the place that they'll be using the space for World AIDS Day. So I'm not really sure what all they'll have in there, but they will have their information in there. It can be your actual liaison for AIDS and HIV.
Now, if somebody comes there to the church and then acquires a kit, can they also get a kit for someone else, like somebody back home that couldn't come out and get the kit?
I think when I spoke with them, they were only able to bring us 20 kits. So we're talking a small amount. You can get as many as you need from Matrix Human Services. And I have their number for your listening audience, and they can reach them. And they have so many great programs with Matrix. They have the mental health services, the H primary care physician on staff, as well as the health care to help you with your management and early intervention for HIV, along with the pharmacy program right on site. And their number is 877-931-328. Again, 877-931-3248. And you can get everything you need for HIV working with Matrix Human Family Services. We're actually partnering, and our portion of it to have the test kits available, information and the resources available, and a safe, warm place where your privacy will be respected when you come in for your HIV testing. And the next thing that we want to make sure is that even when we talk about this, that we end some of the stigma surrounding HIV within our communities and really allow people a safe space to come to talk, receive resources, get your COVID test, and come on in. And if you heard this on WHPR today, or say Red Ribbon, then we're going to put your name in a special drawing, because we plan to give away a gift basket worth $100. Please come on in, mention that you heard this today, and we'll put your name in a special basket and give you something special for coming. I advise, even as we help you live a better life.
So is that the only incentive, is the basket, or are you also going to give something to the first certain number of people that actually come?
How about that? Yes, thank you for that reminder. So things that really helped and supported on the initiative for last week with being safe for grandma was the first 25 people. We said, come on in and we'll give you flowers or something nice to take to grandma's when you go, right? Whether it's a candle, flower, or you $10 on whatever. This week for World Day, we're going to do the same. So the very 25 people will a $10 gift card or a $10 bill, whichever one we get normally, probably $10. So we'll be doing that as well. But for those that mention that they heard this, we want to be able to measure this. You say it yesterday on WHPR, or I saw it on Facebook Live. We're going to put your name in a drawing for the basket that will be valued at $100.
So repeat again, because when you say something free, that really gives a lot of people the incentive to really make certain that they understand how important it is for them to get tested, you know, for both HIV, for AIDS, as well as for the COVID-19. So again, just in case if there was a couple of people that might have caught this, you know, this viewing or the audio part a little bit late, can you mention that incentive again?
Yes, and thank you for adding that, because it's not just to stop by and to, we want you to be tested. So this is for those that are tested for COVID. Pick up your HIV test kit if you need one, or if you're inclined to get that information, and mention that you heard it first here at WHPR TV or that Facebook Live. You will be entered into the contest basket, and there will be all kinds of things in the basket valued at $100, including a gift card, no less than $50 to the grocery store. So it's going to be a nice gift to get your name entered into. So make sure you mention, heard it here first, WHPR TV or on Facebook Live.
And now also too, you're going to also tell them a little bit more about some of the different things that you do and with Operation Refuge, because I know you mentioned earlier about you have a pantry. Describe so people can come out, they can get tested for the HIV, for the COVID-19, and then they also have an opportunity too to go and grocery shop, more or less, in your pantry.
Yes.
Describe, because we're trying to give people as many incentives as we can to come out and get tested. So you might not only come out, have the opportunity to win the basket, to win one of the gift cards, but also you may also have an opportunity too to come in and then be directed down to the pantry and do a little bit of grocery shopping at the same time.
Well, absolutely. We have Mother's Pantry, Inkster's only client choice food pantry, and we're located at 27717 Carlisle, which is actually next door to the church in a standalone. It is Inkster's only client choice pantry that service every part of the. We service single men, we service women, grandparents, and it's sort of, hopefully, when you come in, you have the experience of a Trader Joe's high-end market. We've been in existence since 2008, and we're very proud of the work we do. In the last year or so, we've given out 100,000 pounds and fresh produce. So we take pride in that. And the fact that our partner, the United Way, we have partnerships with Gleaners and Harvest, Zamans, as well as Yada Ezra. So we receive lots of good fresh produce. And then we're able to reinvest the federal government with foods that we're able to purchase. So when you come in, every Wednesday allowed to have pre-COVID, because now differently, allowed to come in and you actually for your family. So there's a level of dignity that you receive at Mother's Pantry that is not at most where you receive a bag of groceries. But we're very intentional with making sure the space is beautiful, the food is, that you receive things that are complementary to your health. We're very conscious about how we serve individuals that come in and out of Mother's Pantry.
Well, I think the thing is that this is good that you have that opportunity to go and get tested, as well as to go and be able to get possibly some of the incentives that you have as well. So now the thing is that in the last few minutes that we've got, give the contact information, give the address, give the time and the date for when they can come in and get tested.
So Wednesday, December 1st at 10 o'clock, the line will probably card at the food pantry. So if you're getting groceries, you want to come early so that you can get your food and come next door. You will be able to be tested for COVID immediately, and you can take the extended test if you like. You just have to request that, and you'll get that information within 24 to 48 hours, or you get the test information within 15 minutes. So both are available Wednesday, 27741 Carlisle and Inkster at Christ Temple Church. You'll see lots of signage. So we'll be there. And for World AIDS Day, it will be the same time at the church in a separate area to respect your privacy for anything concerning HIV and AIDS. Christ Temple City of Refuge, where Pastor Mac is our senior pastor, and it's 27741 Carlisle and Inkster, December 1st, 11 until 3. Make sure you remember to mention that you heard it on WHPR TV or on Facebook Live, because we really the basket to someone, right? So make sure you mention, or Red Ribbon Day. There's a few things you can say. Heard it on WHPR TV, or I saw it on Facebook Live, because we want to get you entered in. And remember, the first 25 people will receive $10, because we want to incentivize you to begin to look at ways to charge of your health. So this conversation really isn't for those that are always on top of the game. They're having their tests weekly. I want you to tell people that you know that their health is the last thing on their mind, right? They're not thinking about being tested. They're not thinking about the vaccine. They may or may not want $10, but please spread this word, because we really are our own best answer for solving issues in our communities. Just word of mouth has always done it. We've always been able to stand across the clothesline and spread the word. So now we use Zoom, but please spread this word so that our families and our children can go into this Christmas, New Year, without so much worry and apprehension about who will we have to bury because we weren't cautious. So Wednesday, I'm trapped in a room, so I'm forgetting the days. But Wednesday, December, remember, 10 o'clock, Christ Temple Refuge in Inkster. Look forward to the, and if I test negative, then I'll see you there. God bless.
Well, we hope that you do test negative, and we hope that you continue to be on the improvement when it comes down to your health. So God bless you. God bless everyone, all of your people there at Operation Refuge. And we hope to see you then on Wednesday. So again, this is Operation Refuge, combined partner with Matrix Human Services, to make certain that we can go and we can put an end to the pandemic of COVID-19, as well as to recognize that AIDS is still with us, and we need to try and stop both of the illnesses that both can convey to people. Again, you've been watching Operation Refuge, and we look forward to hearing and seeing you very, very soon. Take care. And good morning. And we are back with Pastor Velma Jean Overman, and she is going to talk a little bit about some events that Operation Refuge is going to have in the upcoming month. And as everybody knows, it's very important. You know, what they're trying to do is let people know that the pandemic is still here. There are still people that are getting sick, And some people are still dying as a result of the COVID-19. And also, too, we're letting people know as well, there are variants that are now coming here. I know I was listening to the news earlier today, and they're talking about the variant, the Omicron variant, that's now in Canada. And as everybody knows, Canada is a near neighbor to us here in the city of Detroit, Highland Park, as well as here in Michigan. So we want to make certain that people understand, too, that this variant is here. And if you have not been tested, if you have not been vaccinated, it's very imperative that you go get vaccinated. And again, as Pastor will explain, too, it's not just for yourself, but it's for the people that are around you, the people that you love, the people you come in contact with on a daily basis. So again, you don't want to go and carry something to someone who may have an underlying condition. And that's one of the things that people are really understanding now. If you have an underlying condition, it could be something pertaining to diabetes, could be obesity, could be high blood pressure, could be lupus, could be MS, could be a cancer survivor. There are a lot of different reasons why somebody's immune system may be compromised. So when I say compromised, that your antibodies in your body are working to try and fight off another illness or disease that's in you, and now here you've got something else that comes in, and now you don't have enough immunity to be able to go and fight off that new virus that enters into your body. So again, the purpose of making certain that people are vaccinated is to go and make to where if somebody they do come in contact with the virus, that they can go and have an immunity to not then get sick, or in some cases, as we know with some people, to make a transition. So one of the things that Pastor Velma Jean Overman from Operation Refuge is going to talk about are 3 events that they've got coming up in the month of December to talk about, one, looking at those that may want to get vaccinated versus those that may be against getting vaccinated. And then another event is talking about the different myths that people have as it pertains to the virus, the vaccinations, the variants, and your immunity. Those that could or those that might not be able to go and get the vaccination. So we're going to, that's one of the things we're going to talk about in this discussion on the 16th, is to see what and have some health care and some other experts there to weigh in on the vaccination, to weigh in on the virus. And then to top it off, on the 29th, what Pastor's going to talk about is to do a pretty much like a timeline on the pandemic. A lot of people, look at when did the pandemic first started claiming victims, as well as innocent people that may have come in contact with it that were trying to go and not understand what was going on. Some people were thinking that it was just another virus, like a flu or a cold. And the thing was that it was a lot more severe than what people were led to believe. And then looking at the timeline from then, which was back in 2020 and the beginning of 2020 to now, which is towards the end of 2021, what is happening now? What's going on? And now, is it over or is it going to continue? Will we see an end? Is there some sort of relief that people are getting? Talking about the vaccinations, talking about how life was for you back then compared to how it is now. We just celebrated Thanksgiving. Most of us were able to go and get back to some sense of normalcy when this year they broke bread with family and friends, whereas last year this time, people were told not to venture out of their homes. Grandma, grandpa were told basically just to do a video, do a Zoom like what we're on, to go and be able to bring people into the household, but not to leave out of your household and possibly infect someone else that could have a compromised immune system as well. So Operation Refuge is going to have a lot of different symposiums, panel discussions, debates, to talk about how important it is to make certain that you do continue to be vigilant, do continue to go and not let your guard down when it comes down to the possibility of keeping your social distancing, wearing your masks, to make certain that people will realize too that they could go and they could carry it and it could be transmitted to someone else, to a child, to a loved one. So that's what we're going to make certain that people are really aware of the fact this is still going on, and still stay vigilant. I welcome Pastor Velma Jean Overman, the Executive Director of Operation Refuge. Pastor Overman, thank you for coming on.
Well, good morning. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak on behalf of Operation Refuge, to bring you up to date on some things that's happening in our support of the United Way and COVID-19, and bringing some awareness and support to our individual community. So I want to take a little time and share some information about something that we're bringing on December the 11th to the Simmons Center in Inkster. It's at 29150 Carlisle in Inkster at 10 o'clock a.m. sharp. 12:30 is our finish time if we're able to wrap it up that quickly. We plan to stream live on Facebook. And Mr. Griffin, you will be our moderator. So we do have some seats left on Eventbrite, and we want to get a chance to invite people to take advantage of that. You can go on Operation Refuge, Eventbrite, and look for to vaccine or not to vaccine. That's what the entire event is going to be around. Do you get vaccinated or no? And some of the big hot debate and discussion on the cons. So we'll have 6 panelists with their reasons why they're either vaccinated or why they refuse to be vaccinated. And they'll be bringing that experience to the table. It is a well thought out event. It's going to bring some true clues and some supportive statements, not just I don't want to get it or I want to get it, but the why behind it. So with the thing happening with COVID and our opportunity to be supportive in the downriver communities, we are sharing as many things as we possibly can. Not only are we testing and providing vaccinations with Operation Refuge, and we've been doing this for the past 5 months. We're adding to that with some awareness conversation and some of the things you need to know, especially with all the new variants of the virus that's expected to occur. At first, you just needed the vaccine. Then you needed double doses of the vaccine. Now you need a booster with the vaccine. Now there's a new variant. So there's so many things that's happening that I think we owe it to our communities to bring as much information that has been vetted to the community as possible, and to give people the opportunity and space to have those conversations. So we have 3 young people that have been told they have to make a decision. You have to get it, or your job is going to be a part of the decision that you're making, right? And then we have 3 panelists that have experienced COVID, and had there been a vaccine, they would have taken it before they were almost deadly ill. So it's going to be really good on the 11th. But you need to register, because we will have some space inside of the Simmons building for people, but when I last looked on Eventbrite, we had like 10 seats left. So you need to hop on there today if you want to come that way. If not, it will be on Facebook Live, and you can see it on Mr. Griffin's page. Just like this, what we're doing right now is also available on his page so that you can jump on and be on live. So to vaccinate or not to vaccinate is the question, and you'll be able to ask some questions via Zoom as well as via Facebook that will be addressed there with the moderator and with the panelists. So I think I got everything. Did I get everything?
I think you did.
For
I think
that?
you're very thorough.
Okay.
So now
So-
you've got another event coming up on the 16th, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
yes. On
good.
the 16th, we're going to be destroying the myths around COVID. And that's going to be quite the undertaking, right? Because there are so many myths surrounding COVID-19 and these variants, along with the brand new one of the hour, the Omicron, right? The variant that's supposedly right up the street in Canada that came all the way from Africa. So, and you know what the challenges are, Mr. Griffin, is that we as a people have often always been on the reaction end of everything in our community. We're all figure it out after the fact. Like, I want us to be ahead of the game, and that's why we're trying to share as much information as possible. So we plan to have on 12/16 at 6 o'clock. It'll be live on Zoom as well as Facebook. And we want to destroy the myths surrounding COVID-19, the vaccines, and the Black community. Or actually, I should say the BIPOC community, any Black and people of color. What are some of these myths? And the people that we're going to have on this panel will be doctors, people from HR, someone from the pharmacists, pastors, and those that are mandating it. So we want to have that discussion. You will also be able to put in the chat box any questions and really just ask what's on your heart about some of the myths. Is it that they're putting something in there? Is it true that it's a way to do population control? Is it true that you still get COVID once you vaccinate? You know, what are some of the myths that we can bring true knowledge-based and scientific fact to? And then it's okay to say that we don't have the answer, but these are some things we're certain of. You can wear your mask. I see Renee in hers. You can wash your hands. It's up to you to own your self-care and to have a knowledge base to move from. And that's what Operation Refuge wants to do in the community. Want to be the place where when you get information, it has been vetted, and we're not just sharing because we heard, but we've brought some true data and measurables to it, and we can tell you where information from. But if the CDC is sure and they don't have enough data, we will say the CDC has said, but at the same time, there's not data to support it, right? And that's all. At least you have an understanding of what you can do to protect yourself. So that's on the 16th, and we're looking forward to doing that. And I believe we're going to have Mr. Griffin as our moderator for that as well. And it should be 2 hours. You're able to call in. That information is on our website, www.operationrefuge.org, as well as Operation Refuge Facebook page. So we have that information available. And you can always reach out to us at 327-8822. That's our church's number, so just call information there, as well as 734-709-7806. That is my cell number, so you can feel free to follow up with me.
Well, you know, that's so interesting because I think when, you know, we were talking about the myths that people had when it came down to the pandemic, as well as the vaccinations, as well as even the booster, you know, that there's a lot of questions that people still have, even in reference to that, you know, and people are still even asking the question, you know, pertaining to what the vaccination is all about, you know, what's in the vaccination. So that's going to be a good discussion to be able to go and alleviate some of the fears and some of the concerns that people have, as well as to reaffirm some of the things that people have, did research about. And, and I think that's going to be really good. So I think that those that have an opportunity to watch that, on Zoom, that they will come prepared with questions so that, as you're saying, Pastor Overman, that we can go put the questions in the chat room so that we can also ask our, panelists, to get their, view and to get their resources that can help, with disseminating some of the information that dispels some of the myths that people have. Okay, and now you also have an event coming up on the 29th, as I was alluding to in my introduction, that's going to pretty much like talk about the timeline about the pandemic, about when the vaccinations came about. And then, like you were saying too, we've lost some people, due to the pandemic. And as we're saying too, there are variants now that still are keeping us very much in the loop when it comes down to finding out about the variant, about the vaccinations, and about where people can go about and get the vaccinations at. So do you want to talk a little bit, Pastor Overman, about what's going to go on the 29th?
On the 29th, we're looking forward to a year in review, a virtual conversation looking back over the past 24 months at the pandemic and its effects on our families and communities. So hopefully, and you're going to drive this conversation, Mr. Griffin, with those that call in and make sure that we're able to share just the community's vision and the community's outcomes and measurables about how we handled the COVID virus. I mean, when we look back initially and we had everything from the president and the leadership telling us it was no big deal until we started seeing bodies in big trucks in New York, right? And we started realizing that Michigan, our hospitals were filled, and our families were afraid. And then all of a sudden there was no toilet paper in the stores and no traffic and on the streets. So some of these things we've put like in a backroom compartment in our heads, and we've forgotten about our experience with it. So when we look, we're kind of lackadaisical where you'll see a football game with 100,000 people without a mask, how quickly we forget, right? So we would like to bring some of these things back and use these as ways to become a more healthy or thorough community in the future. So we'll have this conversation. That date is 12/29. It will be virtual, and we're going to just kind of bring in some of the individuals that dealt with this in certain ways. We've had family members that had to have homegoing celebrations and funerals outside, right? No repast dinners, the things that are a part of our culture and a part of how we grieve and how we serve one another, totally taken from us. The way we interact with one another. 2020 and 2021 showed us an immediate shift in the way we do things and how we were able to cope, or how we were not able to cope, and that impact. Even when I think about small businesses and employment and unemployment and the influx of care dollars and all the things that happened around COVID, how did it empower, or how did it really rob our community, will be some of the things that we'll address, as well as going forward into 2022. What are some of the lessons learned that we'll take with us that'll strengthen us as a community, and some of the things that we have to come to terms with that don't get to go into 2022 with us? So we'll have that conversation, and if there's a way to really engage us and to put some systems in place as a Black community, that when the next thing comes, and it will, because we remember SARS and SCARS and HIV and all the things that have happened over the years that come, that tend to do a lot more to our communities than other communities, that we prepare for the change that's coming, that we're stronger because of it, and that we're able to move on as people of color.
You know, I find it so interesting, some of the things that you were saying, Pastor Overman, about how things were so different, you know, then, especially compared to now. Because just like you were saying, too, there were a lot of mandates that were, you know, put upon us that unless you were like emergency personnel, you couldn't leave out of your household. And the other thing, too, was that it was kind of interesting listening to people talk about filling up their tanks with gas, and then how they could almost last on that tank of gas for weeks, compared to now. You know, people are kind of back to the normal swing of things, you know, with work, going to school, and other things that get people out of the household, that now, you know, the gas prices are up compared to what they were a year ago, and more people are out and about. But, you know, gas could last you almost a month just on a fill up. And then the other thing, too, is, as you were saying, too, about going to the various different homegoing services, there were limits on how many people could actually go into the churches to go and do the celebration of a person's life, as well as the different things that people were also looking at, going into the stores, aisles that you could only go one way down the aisles, you know, to be able to go and do shopping. So when you walked into a department store, it was a one way, you know, to walk down that aisle to pick up groceries or other items, as well as the, you know, what happened with a lot of people that made transitions, you know, last year, as well as even currently now, that have made transitions. And some of the things that happened, you know, Belle Isle, there was a long line of people's pictures of people that made their transitions last year. And I think it was very poignant seeing that, and just in your cars driving through. Even the celebration about people, you know, celebrating a revolution around the sun. You know, you couldn't go in and celebrate birthdays. And I think a lot of people got really creative. So that's one of the things I have to give us, you know, credit on, that we did drive-bys. I was at one last year where it was somebody celebrating a birthday, and instead of us going and getting out and doing anything, you know, like you couldn't hug, you couldn't do any kind of, you know, no kind of physical activity, you know, to hug or shake hands or anything with somebody. We were only just able to go and drive by, and there was a box where we could put gifts in and then keep moving, and then wave, you know, from our car windows up to the person and express to them happy birthday, or, you know, graduation's the same thing. And then that's another thing that we'll be talking about too. School was so different then compared to now. Most of the school was virtual, and a lot of the children were not able to go in and celebrate with their classmates graduations or even homecoming. So, and then as you were saying too, about looking at the people that were so impacted by this virus. And that's one of the things that we're going to make certain of, that we don't have to go and still, because some people were quarantined in their households for weeks, some even months. And I still know people right now that still don't want to leave out the household. They're doing everything pretty much through Zoom, or they're going and getting their groceries, you know, through DoorDash or something like that.
And the great thing about that is how we were able to be very flexible. So how do we as people of color take advantage of the things that we see that happen, that others are able to, all of a sudden you become a super business person out of this tragedy. And so even when we look back over 2021 in review, what do we take away that build and strengthen our families and our communities? One we know for sure is we own our own health, right? That's the one thing we should take away from this, is We will always be at the top of the numbers if we don't own it. If we don't own the social responsibility of looking after ourselves and one another, nobody else is going to do that for us. And then how do we become the individuals that take advantage of what's happening? You look at the stock market and you see that the very wealthiest people in this world got more money during the pandemic. They became 10 times as wealthy, where everybody else, you had to get a little extra check so that they would just make. So some of these things that the pandemic brought to the forefront, if we're wise as a people of color, see what's in it that can build and strengthen our legacy in this. So I'm looking forward to that final conversation on the 29th, the year in review, and you'll be moderating that. If anyone is interested in being a part of the panel, they can certainly jump on and just call one of us and let us know. But I would love for us to have an in-depth conversation on COVID-19 and its effects on our particular families, communities, and people.
Well, Pastor, this time has gone by so fast, and we definitely want to go and thank you for all of the work that you do. We definitely want you to stay healthy, stay safe, get well very, very soon. And this has been Pastor Velma Jean Overman, Executive Director of Operation Refuge, to talk about events that they have coming up December the 11th, December the 16th, and December the 29th. Pastor Overman, thank you again for coming on. We look forward to seeing great, great things from you in the near future. Be blessed.